from The Fury by Alex Michaelides. And he was no oil painting either, believe me.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. It's me, Mallory, and today I am surviving because of this tea. I'm joined by Ariel, who is stressy, depressy, but still the bestie.
I'm like a clown car full of murderous clowns. Super fun, but also dangerous right now.
Our Supreme Overlord Carla is here, and she would like me to tell you that the witch, Carla, is in.
Absolutely. And I'm going to have to start running roughshod on some people because we're not getting stuff done for MiniCon like I wanted.
Zach, the silliest goose, is recording in Seattle, Washington.
And don't you forget it.
Today, we are bringing you a book chat, but before we get started, here's a little peek at what we have coming up in our libraries. Once again, we've already mentioned it. MiniCon is coming up on April 6th from 12 to 6. We are putting games together and painting. There's how many paintings out there?
Oh my gosh, it's like 6 or 7.
It's just our meeting rooms are only paintings on big wooden thingies.
Frames.
Thank you.
And my office, I want to mention, has a path. And that's it, because when people get stuff done or they're putting it back to wait for until they can work on it again, that's where it goes.
Yep.
I want everyone to know that I made Gollum as a cardboard cutout, and
It turned out good.
It's creeped out not only Carla, but also a few of my coworkers, and also a couple teens that came in the other day. They walked in, they were like, oh.
It got me 5 times yesterday.
I have a funny story. She set it up in
my chair. I put him in my chair.
And every time you would go by, it's just this creepy Gollum looking at you. And I'm like, I can't do this.
He's always looking at you. Is the thing. Always.
I turned it around. Well, then I went in and sat down at my desk, and it looked like it was peeping over the top of the chair at me. I was like, this has got to go.
I love him so much.
Crazy.
So at this point, we just have random MiniCon things, and we're
everywhere.
They're scaring us. We're throwing them places. It's chaos. It's great chaos.
Not really.
I mean, I kind of enjoy it.
I do too. Ravenswood's new sewing club will start on April 5th, and that'll be at 11 a.m. and it'll run until 1 p.m. And that'll be every Friday from then on. I'm actually pretty excited about that. Amy is starting that, and I don't know if you guys
She's an amazing seamstress. I mean, her quilts are absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah. I don't know if you saw or checked in on our quilt raffle, but Amy did that quilt, and oh my gosh, gorgeous.
I was so mad I couldn't win it.
Yeah. Ravenswood's plant swap will begin April 16th at 6 p.m., and they will have one each month, I think for a couple of months. I'm not sure how long it'll run, but they will have plants for people to swap, obviously. They will have new cuttings, new plants for you to pick up. So you can essentially just take something that you don't want anymore and you can go find something else that you do.
I think usually it runs until about September.
I think it
That
does.
sounds about right.
It's a long time. And Ravenswood FFA is bringing stuff this time.
Yes. And Amy has told me to tell everybody that there will be door prizes this year as well. So they're going to do it big this year.
She loves her door prizes.
She does.
And they're good.
They're good. Yeah, she's really good at that stuff. So that's pretty much all we have so far. We're in the middle of March, so I don't think I have anything planned other than Kids Club yet. So
I have nothing planned. I have story time to finish out on the 1st, which will be
today.
Yeah.
You will, yeah.
When it comes out today, that's my last one. And I have nothing else planned besides MiniCon until summer reading.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Oh God. Summer reading.
No, we're gonna rethink that because it's.
I'm not even ready for it.
We need to just totally revamp the summer reading this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
No, it doesn't suck. It's just we need to change with the times.
Yeah.
No, I meant the theme.
Oh, the theme. Well, that's our Minicon theme.
I know. It sounds better with Minicon, though.
You just need to think outside the box, man.
I mean, my teens will love it. I don't know what I'm doing for toddlers, so that's
Do
the thing.
nature
It's hard.
stuff.
Maybe,
It's
yeah.
an adventure.
I could do nature stuff. The teens were doing D&D.
Yeah.
Oh, epic adventures that way would
Yeah.
be perfect. Yeah.
I'd like to do something like that with my kids.
Yeah, we're having a D&D campaign, and we're going to be making D&D props.
Yeah.
And then I might let them battle each other.
Well, there should be extra pool
With
noodles.
pool noodles.
No, not pool noodle.
Oh, yes. Pool noodles.
Okay, I don't know why, but we've said this
Cotton
now.
balls. We used marshmallows one time to eat with catapult, little teeny ones. And they were like, oh, these hurt. I'm like, it's a marshmallow.
Oh wait, I remember what my science night is going to be this year. Is the peep launch. We're going to build catapults and then launch peeps. You've said marshmallows and catapults. There we
Be
are.
careful because maybe they hurt.
Get some glitter, or not glitter, but sugar in your eye.
Yeah.
That's possible.
That was.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah.
Mine were like the little teeny ones.
I know.
Oh, my God.
I know.
I don't know the date for that, but we'll figure it out. So you can find information for all of that and more on our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/WVJCO Library. You should also follow us on TikTok and Instagram at, again, WVJCO Library. For more Reading Room Ruffians fun, you can search our Facebook group at Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, as well as our Instagram page at Reading Room Ruffians. Check out our podcast Goodreads page, which we have linked in all of our episode descriptions, along with our personal Goodreads pages.
But don't forget to subscribe to these things too, so that you're constantly, you get your notices and so you know what's going on.
Follow us.
Follow and subscribe. And like if you want.
All the
Or
things.
just do it anyway because you like us.
Yeah. Love us,
Do
We
it,
love
in-
library.
do it anyway so we don't judge you.
Yeah, that's definitely going to bring in the...
Hey, man, it was better than what I was really thinking.
Oh my goodness.
We will hunt you down.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, this book chat.
Zach, please say something.
I think it's Ariel to start off, so I don't know where we are.
Oh,
What,
We're
with
still
books?
doomed.
book chat.
Hey, rude. Rude.
Getting a little
Okay.
spicy there.
So,
Yeah.
well, I'm like stressy and depressy, okay? I'm murderous clowns.
And wound really tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Okay, so I think the only thing that I've actually read since our last book chat is the Cloven books, which we already kind of talked about.
Mhm.
And then I've read the first 3 Dungeon Crawler Carl books. They're amazing.
I haven't read any
I
of
don't
them.
want to go too into detail with them because
We're going to talk
We're gonna
about
our
do
it.
the
deep
deep dive,
dive
yeah.
is on Dungeon Crawler. But I mean, these books, they just grab you right away, especially if you do like lit RPGs. They are absolutely hilarious, but you can also see where like characters are growing and developing personalities and stuff like that. They're introducing like new things, and the amount of monsters that they create in these books, like the third one has a mantar.
I think we talked about that. Yeah.
It's like there's another man's torso coming out of where the neck would be of the first man.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And they talk about how it should have 4 legs instead of 4 arms and 2 legs because he runs on 4.
I hate that.
But I mean, they like every book, like the first book, I think it goes through the first 3 floors. Does that sound right, Zach?
The first book, no, it's the first 2 floors, I think.
It's the first 2 floors? Okay. So they go through the first 2 floors. They end up getting like interviews. They go on talk shows. So not only are you like seeing all the stuff that's happening in the dungeon and seeing them like level up and fight all these monsters and try to survive and, you know, see the fights between other crawlers, other people who've gone into the dungeon. You get to hear about them going on these talk shows because, I mean, the apocalypse is in fact televised. It is a game show with very real consequences. So, I mean, it's just really, really good. And you there's certain people that you just end up loving and you're like worried that they're going to get murdered.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're going to go into this one. So stop now.
I'm stopping. This is the first 3 books I was covering.
Yeah, but I haven't read any of them.
Well, they're good and you need to get on the ball.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them next week, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Oh, this is next week?
Mhm.
Yeah, next
I
week.
thought Hillbilly Elegy was next week.
No.
Oh, I picked the wrong one.
I was wondering why you were reading that one so
Because I
early.
thought it was next week.
No, it's Zach's Deep Dive, which is Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, check it out.
We will hopefully have
I will.
in Libby by then.
I think that means I'm next. I talked about Columbus Day on our last book chat, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I don't really remember, but so I did finally finish Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which was a book club book from November and December. I
bought
Good
it.
timing for March.
I haven't.
Oh, that's right. You
I
haven't even
haven't
started,
opened
have
it
you?
up.
yeah.
Nope.
I'm the only other one that's read it, Zach. I don't know why you said finally to me.
I haven't even cracked it open.
Just finally somebody read it. This is what happens with my book picks. They're like, oh, it's too long, so I pick a shorter one. They still don't read it. It's just,
It's not that. I genuinely thought it was going to be like a legit graphic novel, and it was more of a novel with some pictures. And every time I tried to sit down with my Kindle, my brain was just like, no, dude, we're not Kindling
I
right
couldn't
now.
find it in audio format.
so it is out on
it's gonna
audio
be probably,
now. It should be.
I did. Yeah.
I was going to say, so it's going to be like another 6 months before I get
Yeah,
it read.
it
But
was
if it's
a
on
long
audio
wait.
now, I could probably do it.
Yeah.
I just don't have time to sit and read.
It was a long wait, so definitely go in and find it.
Okay. On Libby?
Hmm.
I don't know if it's on Libby yet, but
Yeah. I listened to it in Libby.
oh, okay, cool.
Didn't I?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, it was really good. It was really good to hear. What's his name? He reads for Brandon Sanderson a lot. Anyway, his voice.
I remember you talking about
it was
that.
really nice to hear his voice again because I haven't listened to any of the other. What's the Well of Ascension? I haven't listened to that series in a while. I need to pick that one back up.
Mistborn
Anyway.
series.
Yes, that was it. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is so good. I liked it a lot. I cried a couple of times. Not like anything major. I just was like, oh! And I surprisingly did not see. No, I'm not very surprised by it. I never see anything coming, but this one really threw me for a loop. Like what happened, and I was convinced that what was happening was what they also thought was happening, but that is not at all what was happening, without any spoilers or anything. But yeah, it was super good.
Very good book. I called the ending, but only after everything else had happened. I was like, oh, okay, well, it has to end this way. But it's like, no, I didn't see any of that stuff happening either.
Okay, cool. So I don't feel as bad.
No, it
Maybe
was
it's not
actually
working.
kind of a confusing one. Or like you could probably figure stuff out if you really knew, but I don't know.
But yeah, that I'm glad that I got that one finished.
All right, Mom, I think it's you with your news.
Is it me? Okay. Oh, okay. I was going to talk a little bit about the West Virginia House Bill 4654.
Is that the one
That's
ban stuff?
that was the no, they weren't going to ban stuff.
Well, you
they
know.
were going to arrest us.
Yeah.
It went through the West Virginia House where they want to remove the exemption for criminal prosecution for librarians and schools and museums that expose children to obscene whatever content. Now, they also do not describe or identify what obscene is. It's like, oh, what people generally feel that's obscene. It's like,
What if I feel like the Bible is obscene?
then, I guess you'd have to have more people than one. But still,
I don't know.
anyway, it passed the House 85-12, which was
It's
mostly
ridiculous.
along party lines. But then it went to the Senate, and in the Senate, they were sneaking it in with another bill about AI-generated porn. Yeah, well, they were using, with kids being
Yeah.
in the AI-generated stuff. But anyway, to see if it would pass, but they did not get to it, so it did not pass because the session ended before they voted on it or talked about it. But it's like I don't really know what they're thinking, because it's not like libraries have in schools. Well, I think there's some schools in other states that have picked made some unwise choices on their book choices. And museums, I mean, what if you go in and there's a replica of David, the statue David?
It's like that's been a thing in the past.
I know. It's like, are we going to have to start adding the fig leaves back, or I don't know what we're doing.
It's ridiculous.
And with the library stuff, it's like parents can control their children's cards.
Mm-hmm.
They can do that. They can come in with them. They can say, "You're not checking that out." We have parents that do that.
Yep. We also have parents who read stuff before they let their kids read it.
Yeah.
And that's personally, that's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're worried about it.
Yeah, you're a parent.
Yeah.
You should parent. And I'm sorry, they're going to find more stuff online than they're ever going to find in a library. So I don't know it's like, what happens if a kid checks out something and somebody gets mad about it? That's like, oh, this is an obscene thing, I think. And they want to press charges. Who gets arrested? Does the person who checked it out to them get arrested? Does the entire library get arrested? Do we get shut down? Is it just the director that gets arrested?
Is it the person who ordered the book?
Yeah.
It's
so vague and unclear. I don't know what they were thinking. They didn't define it well. I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to counteract some of the things that are happening maybe in San Francisco.
Personally, I think there are so many more important things to do in our state, especially, than anything that they want to talk about. Political commercials are rampant, and I just don't even want to watch TV anymore. It is so disgusting. How do we want to talk about these things and not, the
important
fact that
things.
Everybody in our state is seen as uneducated? Why aren't we doing anything to fix that? Everybody in our state is seen as poor. Why aren't we doing anything to fix that?
And we really are unhealthy.
Yeah. We're literally focusing on bathrooms and library books.
I guess.
Because if you educate the masses, we revolt.
There's truth to that. But it's like, I don't think this was a very well thought out bill.
Don't go into battle when you have to pee.
No, I think a lot of the stuff where they keep it vague is very intentional.
This is why we talk about it.
It is. They do it to seem relevant, and none of it is relevant.
Yeah.
There are way more important things in our state and, nationwide. I don't understand. I don't get it.
It's like when people perceive a situation or an issue swinging way to one side, whether it's left or right, then to balance that, they have to swing all the way to the other side when you just really need to be in the middle the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like this radical on either side is it's killing us.
Truthfully, most of America is moderate, but all we are shown is the polar opposites.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, I think this was it just made the whole state look like idiots too, because it made the news.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All over.
Well, it's like the whole thing with the teacher strikes whenever that was happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's embarrassing.
Everywhere. That was all over the world.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
but I'm kind of glad that helped us a little bit.
It
because
did.
We got to keep our insurance.
Well, yeah. But
at the same, it still is. It's one of those things how
the fact that it had to come to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my book news. So far, we're good. We're just going to hope for the best when they reconvene.
Oh, so it hasn't been completely shut down yet. They just ran out of time for it?
No, they ran out of time.
Oh, that's annoying. Well, hopefully
it'll die.
Yeah. So maybe if you guys don't want this to happen, you should contact your peeps, your politician peeps.
your local representatives.
Yeah. To make sure that this stuff doesn't happen. Tell them you're dissatisfied.
I think that would be nice, but I don't think it matters as much as... you have to have a whole big bunch of people do it, not just one or two.
Yes.
And there are people that believe that this is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I really feel like we should, as a whole, understand that the people who want stuff like this to happen get together and they make sure that they can have money to tell somebody with their money that they want it to happen. And that's not the only way.
I think a lot of these people also don't want to parent their children.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They want teachers or
Yeah.
librarians
Yeah.
or whoever else to take that responsibility.
Yeah. And it's like, I've talked about it with my parents. Like, my parents did not monitor anything I read growing up. I was reading adult novels in middle school just because I had read everything else. Like, Mrs. Click had to order me so much stuff. Mrs. Benford at the high school library had to order me so much stuff. Like, I went through anything and everything. And I mean, I learned very early on, I'm not into romance novels. That's how I know.
Same.
I mean, fair.
So it's like, I just, there were definitely things that my mom read with us. Like, she read Harry Potter with us. She read it first and was like, well, your kids now, you have to read it. Like,
I don't remember you ever censoring me or Zach.
no.
I didn't.
I was going to say, I don't remember you ever being like, no, you can't read that.
I think if you teach people to think for themselves and raise them with basic morals and values, you're not going to have to censor them because they're going to be like, oh, this is craziness, or
Yeah.
there's a point here, but they'll be able to figure it out.
And even if you read something you don't like or you don't agree with, you can also see like, hey, well, I never really thought of it that way. I still don't agree, but at least I understand a little bit more.
What's like the book Monster we talked about?
Mhm.
It's like she had some good points,
Yeah.
but I think she was crazy.
Mhm.
And that one would probably have obscene, material in it because of the language.
Because of the language and the
And-
discussions of some of the topics, yeah.
Yeah. So you never know. You don't know what's going to be, questioned.
But yeah, in general,
And
though,
once you draw that line, it is so much easier to move that line slowly forward.
and I mean, when it comes down to it, it's not the librarians or anybody's responsibility aside from the parents. Just pay attention to what your kids are reading. Make sure they're not reading
Mhm.
awful stuff if you don't want them to. Okay? It's your responsibility. You're a parent. Come on. Parent.
Yep.
It's nonsense.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and move on to, I guess it's me next. So,
Yes.
I read The Road by Cormac McCarthy. And Cormac McCarthy is apparently a pretty well-known writer. I've never read any of his stuff before. But this one, it's a post-apocalyptic book about a father and a kid, a little boy. And I don't
I
know.
think I read that.
Did you?
I think I did, but it's been several years ago.
If only you kept track of your books, Mama.
I know. I still haven't even done it this year. Sorry.
Anyway, so it's actually a movie too. It's got actually what's his name, Vigo from Lord of the Rings, who played Aragorn in it. He's the main dude.
Mm-hmm.
So gonna have to watch that eventually. I have not seen it yet. But anyway, this is it's probably the most realistic portrayal of a post-apocalypse I've ever seen. It's about, like I said, the father and the son. They're trying to get to the coast and to the south. Presumably they've been living wherever they've been living for a long time. Somewhere in like the Tennessee, Kentucky, whatever area. I don't think they actually say a location. But they're trying to get down.
So they're going to like Florida?
They're going, towards like Florida, Georgia area. Again, they don't say any of these locations. They don't actually say any names of anything in the entire book. Like the father is
That's
called
weird.
the man and the kid is called the boy or the son. Towards the end, it's called the son. The book, it has some like pretty incredible imagery though, and it just makes you feel like you're on this road with them, just slogging through, trying to survive. And it really, the setting is just very, I don't know. It's very like disconcerting, I guess. And the fact that they're always hungry and they're always trying to find new places and avoid everybody. The dad is convinced that everybody is basically out to get them. And the kid, he has grown up only in this. Like when the book first starts out, they're just walking, and they talk about the mom. I'm not going to spoil anything that happened with the mom, but the mom is no longer in the picture. And I don't know, there's a bunch of awful things that happen in the book, but the writing is beautiful, and the story just really pulls you into, I guess, feeling like you're there with them. Good stuff happens, bad stuff happens. And the ending, it's kind of heart-wrenching.
I kind of feel like that's, I'm not trying to like equate them, but that has kind of like Parable of the Sower vibes.
It's Parable of the Sower. But it is, it gives me more vibes like that, but I think this is a much better portrayal and a better written book. I don't know, I just didn't like Parable of the Sower very much. Because, I don't know, it seemed unrealistic to me. This one seems very realistic. Like, if you made the choices that are made in this book, this is how it would be, basically.
Yeah.
And those are the books that are scary and stay with you.
Oh, yeah, this one's like, it is scary at times.
I don't mean
it's
like horror,
it seems
like
real.
Not like a horror movie, but it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no.
Do I want to survive this, you know?
It seems like very real while you're reading the book.
Yeah.
And also, Cormac McCarthy has this like thing where he doesn't want to tell you anything about anything. So I have no idea how long it was.
You guessing?
Yeah, no, I have no idea how long how long they've been walking. I don't know how old the kid is. I don't know what happened in the apocalypse, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We know some sort of nuclear winter type deal. So you've got like the no sunlight. And nothing can grow, and basically all animals and plants and everything are dead. The only reason they can survive is because they find canned foods and stuff like that just out and about. But there's basically nobody left, aside from them, and they meet a few people along the road. The dad is terrified of all of them, so they try to avoid them the entire time. And by the end, you're like, oh my gosh, was the dad being right this whole time, or has this made the kid's life worse? It's just, it gets to you. But it's a good book. I think people should read it, or I don't know about the movie. I haven't watched that yet, or watch the movie, something like that. It's good.
Maybe this should be a deep dive. Seems like there's a lot to talk about.
I've seen this book a lot. I've looked at it a lot, but I've never picked it up to actually read it, and that actually makes it sound like something I might want to read. So.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a ton to discuss in the book, aside from just the feeling. Like, I don't think we could get a full episode out of it.
Oh, okay.
But I think that it is a good one to read. I don't know if it's a good one to discuss. We did try this in my works book club, and there was not much discussion, so.
Okay.
All right, Ariel, since you haven't read anything else.
I'm going to have to reread it.
Nope, I have no books.
Aside from Dungeon Caller Carl. Mallory,
which I'm
you got
not
anything?
allowed to talk about.
No, you're not.
I do actually. I have, I think, 3 other books.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. So I finished, I guess I've been doing like a bunch of our book club books, because I finished The Immortalists, which was our February book by Chloe Benjamin. I gave it 5 stars, but my rating specifically says the rating for what I was expecting, it got 4 stars, and the rating for what I got was 5 stars. So with a title like The Immortalists, I was really imagining just elaborate magical worlds, and I did not get that. This was like pretty heavily based in like real life. It's a fictional book, obviously, but it was the inner workings of a Jewish family in, like New York, I think. And 2 siblings move out to San Francisco, and 2 kind of like go to college and, make things of themselves. And it's all like a weird, they end up as kids going to, this is the beginning of the book. They go to see, I don't know, what a magic woman, and she can tell the date of somebody's death. And so they all go one at a time, and they're told the dates of their deaths. and they, on the, as adults, like young adults, they meet up after their father's sudden death and are just like, well, what did she tell you guys? Like, you're not supposed to tell. But they were like, oh, well, I'm supposed to be this old and I'm supposed to be this old. And the youngest sibling said, well, I'm young. That's all he would say. Like, and so it was just kind of like, oh, well, that's a bummer. And he and his older sister, not oldest, move out to San Francisco because he is gay. And this was like around the time of like the whole coming about of gay activists out in San Francisco. So it's like, it's cool. It's like historical fiction. The inner workings of the family were very intricate and conflicted. And I love you, but also I resent you. And so it was cool to see that and everything that goes along with the book. But with something like The Immortalists, I was very upset.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be such a fantasy type world.
Yeah. So it's called The Immortalists because the sister that moves out with the brother to San Francisco, she discovers that their mother's mother, I believe I got that right, she was a trapeze act in a traveling circus, and she was a badass. And so she decided that she wanted to become that. She was always interested in magic herself. And so she made herself a magician, essentially. And she made her big ticket item what her grandmother did, or her great grandmother did, which was like ziplining with just her jaw, like by her jaw. It was like they call it the jaws of life or something like that. The grip of death. I don't know. Something like that. Grip of death, jaws of life. I don't know. And she meets somebody. She called herself the Immortalist, and then she meets somebody and they fall in love, and they call themselves the Immortalists. They're traveling act.
Okay, I was going to be like, you're telling me all this stuff, and how does this relate back to the Immortalist?
Yeah, that was it. Like, I thought it was going to be like way. I was going to be like, I thought it was way deeper than that. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's a really good story. The stories are really great, and it's semi-depressing, but it wasn't horrible. It was really well written. Everything really stuck together, and you felt the familial bonds and strains and everything like that, especially with their mom. And yeah, it was very good, but it's not something I would go into if you're not in the right space for it, because it is heavy.
I want to interject something here. We were talking about that they were predicting the deaths.
Mm-hmm.
There is a guy, and I cannot remember his name. I just caught it on a video. He worked for an insurance company for like 20 years, and the insurance company had all the data on the medical backgrounds of people and what they were taking, medicine and stuff like that, or what issues they had. They could predict, and this guy did it all the time, the month and year of the person's death.
Oh, wow.
Based on their medical history.
Wow.
Is that not terrifying? And that's why they would write policies with that in mind, you know.
That's wild.
Keep them guessing. Don't go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But I mean, it's like it's some kind of algorithm or something they used. And it was just...
That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
was he ever wrong?
Occasionally, but most of the time
I was going to say, did somebody just miraculously stick around out of spite? Or
I think he had about a 90% success rate.
Dang.
I mean, it's like or more. Yeah, because of, I mean, it was like all these factors, you put them all in there, and it's like you got this long to live.
I hate that.
Yeah.
It's like
I would never want to know that.
10 years, 4 months.
I wouldn't mind knowing how I die, but I don't want to know when I die.
No, it was when. Yeah.
Yeah.
Date specifically, like she did give
The
everybody
exact day.
dates, but they didn't want to tell the dates. They just said, you know, I'll be this age. So
I mean, that'd be good and
I'm
bad,
not.
you know? If you know when you're going to die, you can do whatever the heck you want because you're not going to die.
See, that's why I want to know how.
Yeah, but you could get hurt to the point where you wanted to die.
Yeah. It's very interesting because I also thought, like, if I knew the date, like, And this really makes you think about it.
That
Like,
would give me so much anxiety. No way.
It would. I tell you, would take a lot less for granted.
maybe not.
You don't think so?
For this, after reading this book, I say maybe not. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd make you want to spend more time with the people you care about and doing the things you like to do. I want to tell you about the ribbon, that guy that was the ribbon. I told you and you creeped you out. But anyway, this guy, young guy, was interviewing.
And you're telling me again? I don't remember. I blocked it out.
This young guy was interviewing this older guy, and he
Ariel
was like, he asked him something about his age, or what advice he would give.
Oh, no, I don't like this. I did block this out.
Yeah, what advice he would give his younger self if he could go back in time and speak to his younger self. Well, the guy, he was like, "You got a minute?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he pulls this ribbon out of his pocket. It was like a paper ribbon. And he's like, "This is numbers from 1 to 100. And he's like, "Guys, the average age of a lifespan of a gentleman in the United States is 75. So he went to where it said 75 and he tore it off and he's like, "This 25 years, I'll never see that. Or if I do, my life quality will be so bad that, it won't matter."
Yeah.
So he kind of tossed that away. And he said, "And now I'm 57. So he tore off to 57. And he's like, "I will never see this part of my life again because I can't go back to it." And then they had this little short ribbon. He's like, "This is all I have left." It's like, make the most of it.
Do you not hate that? Yeah, she looked at me after saying this. She's like, "I got like 20 years." I'm like, "Can you
Now
not?"
that's rude of you.
Can
How
you
dare
not?
you? How dare you?
But it makes you think. I mean, if you just go on
No, I don't
just
wanna think.
averages.
No.
I don't want to think.
Nope.
I want to be oblivious.
Anyway, it really made me think because I've only got
No, don't say it. You're going to have 30 seconds if you say it.
Oh, God. What else do you have, Zach?
All right, so I got a piece of book news. So let's move on to that.
Sorry, the depressing part.
It's okay. We're moving on.
Her mother just discussing about dying.
Oof.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So, my book news is about the Hugos.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a pretty big controversy brewing up at the Hugos. For those who aren't familiar, the Hugo Awards is an annual literary award for the best science fiction or fantasy works and achievements of the previous year. So, this is for 2023. It's given at the World Science Fiction Convention, also called WorldCon, and it's chosen by its members. So this is a thing that's like voted on by the members. They vote, they nominate people, and then the members get to decide who wins, basically. But the quick version of the events is basically because the site of WorldCon is different each year, the organizers of the Hugo Awards changes every year. And this time they've made some pretty questionable decisions. Basically, there are a few authors who should have done well and likely would have won the Hugos, but were disqualified. One of the most notable exclusions was R.F. Kuang's novel Babel, which you might have seen around, which has previously won the Blackwell Books of the Year for Fiction Award and the Nebula Award for Best Novel. And despite that, and the high number of votes it received in the Hugo Awards, it was labeled as ineligible for nomination. Another one by...
Why did they say?
We're getting there.
Okay,
Another
sorry.
one by Jiran J. Zhao was also deemed ineligible despite having the fourth most votes for the Astounding Award. The voting results showed that Babel received the third highest number of votes for Best Novel, indicating it should have been a finalist in the Best Novel category. And basically, some leaked emails came out, and they suggest that some authors were excluded from the shortlist due to concerns about how their comments or works could be viewed in China, because China is where WorldCon is being held this year. And that basically... They were worried about potential censorship from the Chinese government, but this was not actually something that was done by the Chinese government. It's just by the people who are running running the Hugos, who didn't want to deal with China, so they just took these people who definitely should have been on there and removed them. Like, we wouldn't have known about this had the emails not leaked, but it sparked a lot of outrage among like fans and authors alike. I've heard some other things about the spokesperson from the Hugo Awards has been very rude to the fans, which also didn't go over super well. They've had some apologies from that. And then also, apparently, there's some talk about some Chinese authors being removed because they were doing what's called slate voting, basically, which is you have a bunch of people who have the same sets of book nominations that all come in at the same time. This is not against the rules, but people were being removed because of that. Also, it doesn't even make sense that something like Babel would have gotten removed in the first place because it's getting a Chinese release. Or it's out in China. I can't remember which one it is. But this has already happened. Like, it's already there. But they still removed it because they didn't want any of this controversy. Absolute nonsense.
So it kind of makes you, it makes you wonder why. And it's I guess the world in general is doing this with China. It's like, what does it matter? I know the entertainment industry is like, oh, we can't put that in there because China will get mad. It's like, well, then don't buy it. I mean, you would think you would have to stand on some moral grounds, on ethical grounds for this.
Because China makes them too much money.
See, that's ridiculous.
No, that's 100% what it is. The only reason why
I know
this is happening, especially with like Marvel or like Star Wars or whatever, is because in China they make a ton of money, so they make stuff or they put in characters, either remove characters or scenes for the Chinese audience so that it'll be good in China. It makes them a ton of money.
That's insane. I don't think Star Wars should be owned by anybody. I think it should be owned by the world, not Disney or not, whatever.
Disney owns the world.
It's like, it's like a cultural thing. It should, it should be our stuff. And that's the collective R, not mine, although I would take it, but
I was going to say,
No, literally
she
just
really
mine.
means her.
Just her.
I would share.
No,
Do you
I
have
get
another
you.
book to talk about?
Well, it would be Carly. You're up next again. Do you have any books?
Well, I'm reading A Hillbilly Elegy because obviously I got my dates wrong and thought that we were going to be talking about that one next week. But it's like I can see where people could be offended or dislike it, but it's because it's preconceived notions or something, because he's just telling his point of view. So I don't know how you could dismiss his point of view because it's what he lived.
I think partially because
maybe you'll
he's
get
lying
there.
about it.
Is he lying about it?
I will have more details next time
Okay.
when we talk about this book.
On the next episode of the Reading Room Ruffians.
I think it's like 3 episodes ahead, actually.
When we talk
Yeah,
about
just
it
like
at that.
Really have more thoughts.
But anyway, that's all I have. That's the only one I'm...
Oh, okay. Well, I do have some stuff that I'm reading, but I think, Mallory, if you want to go for another book you've actually finished, because I haven't finished either of the ones I'm reading right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll just finish my last 2 then. So, this month's book club book was A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, which was absolutely, I loved it. 5 stars, hardcore. It's a book by T. Kingfisher, and it's actually, I would put this either in YA or juvenile fiction. The girl is 14 years old, and she is a wizard, but magic in this universe is not typical magic. So wizards come in all different shapes and sizes, and she is a wizard baker, and she specifically works with bread. And she can animate bread. She can look at bread dough and be like, you don't want to be hard or lumpy or this, that, or the other. And she can look at a loaf of bread that's on the verge of stale, and she can say, you don't want to be stale. You're nice and fluffy, and it'll listen. And it's really cool. She can also like animate gingerbreads a gingerbread man, and she does frequently.
That's terrifying.
It's terrifying, but it's also really cute. Like, it just. But yeah, not everybody obviously is a fan of magic because not everybody has it. So, you know, what we do not have, we are afraid of. And it kind of, the whole book starts, she is going to open her aunt's bakery, and she discovers there is a girl murdered, well, dead, in the bakery. And she's just kind of like, oh, well, that's not good. And she thinks originally that the girl has fallen and hit her head. And, you know, after she gets her aunt, she just is kind of like, oh, well, you know, hopefully they find out who did it. And she's like, wait, why did I decide this was murder? Maybe she just fell. And it's just that kind of commentary the whole time. It's very witty and quick. And, you know, she's a 14-year-old girl and she has to end up doing a lot of very big things. And she has feelings about that, as she should. And it's a really, really great book. I loved this.
So was it murder?
It was murder. It was murder. We find that out very quick, though. So it's not, yeah, it's not a major. I mean, it's almost like definitely implied that it was definitely murder. But yeah, there's, it was really great. I loved it. I loved this book. I had so much fun reading it.
Completely kind of random, but you were talking about how she bakes bread and she can tell it what to do, essentially. I saw this thing the other day where they said that sourdough starter was just an edible Tamagotchi.
Time out, though. The whole reason she found out she was a wizard baker, she animated a sourdough starter.
See? Yep.
She was very, so
They're
her
already
aunt
alive.
her aunt is a baker. And she thought she was ruining her aunt's sourdough starter. So she started kneading it like, oh my God, no. And she put so much magic into it that its name is Bob.
I love that.
And Bob is quite nefarious. He, at this point, he lives in the basement, and he, apparently, there are no rats or mice in their bakery anymore because Bob eats them.
I love that. Yay, Bob!
And
Man, I
Bob
need to
also
upgrade my
makes the best sourdough. They feed him like sardines and stuff, like just random things, and he just glops around happily.
Does he offer pieces of himself so they can make sourdough?
No, they just use him. They use him. Yeah, like he is happy doing it. He knows he makes the best sourdough, so he's like, all right, let's do it. But yeah, that's wild. Hilarious. And Bob does some fantastic things in this book. Okay, like
I love T. Kingfisher.
Yeah,
I think she's a great writer.
Yeah, I really, really love this, and I think I would really like to get this for the library for us to have in either the juvenile fiction or the young adult. Either one, I think it would be fine. But yeah, so good.
Add it to a list.
I will. And then my last book is, oh God, is this book 3 or book 4?
Wow.
Of The Invisible Library? It's book 4. Huh. I'm quite far in. So this one is The Lost Plot, and I really don't want to talk too much about it because I think everybody should read this series anyway. But book 4, we've gotten through quite a lot, and in this one, it's like 1920s New York-esque in one of their, alternate worlds. And they have to discover, I don't want to ruin anything. So it's,
what are they even doing?
It's a mystery. They go to see, it's kind of hinted at in the beginning of the book that a librarian is working for a dragon, which should not be a thing because the library is supposed to be neutral and working in the middle of what could be a very big war between the dragons and the Fae. If somebody were to find out that a librarian was working for a dragon or a Fae, it could go very poorly for not just that librarian, but all librarians and the library. And so it's she and her apprentice go to this world, and they are immediately snatched up, and they're also in the middle of essentially a bombed library. And they're like, what the heck? Because nobody had been there for a while. There was no librarian in residence anymore. And so everything was out of date that they had on it. And yeah, it's a pretty big plot, and a lot happens. It was very good. I also was very mad at the end, and I'm not going to say whether or not that was resolved, but if you read my Goodreads, you'll know. But anyway, man, it was I love this book series so much.
Okay, so if you had to choose dragons or fae, what would you choose? Which side?
Dragons.
You don't seem the lawful type to me.
I like hoarding.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I think I would fight with the other fae too much. Honestly.
I'll be real honest. I mean, yeah, they do have their own squabbles and everything, but they essentially, in this world, they legit, it's their story. Like, every one of them has their own story, and so they kind of just stick to it.
I
It's
would
pretty
like
cool.
to be in a cave in the middle of nowhere with all my junk
They don't
and have people leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go with that.
And then if they don't, I eat them.
I mean, that's fair. I haven't really gotten into the politics of the dragon side yet. This one went the most into it. It's very complicated. Very complicated. You would be like one of, I think there's like 4 dragon queens, and they are like, they each have their own like kingdoms on the inside of Dragon Realm. And then I think there are 7 or 8 dragon kings that do the outlying. And so the female dragons, their kingdoms are on the inside, and therefore less susceptible to chaos infiltration.
That's probably good.
Yeah.
See, with a dragon too, even though they're lawful, you slight a dragon, you're screwed.
Oh, for sure.
And like, I could decide what was the slight.
For sure, though. Like, they're also, yeah.
There's
no,
ways
this is-
around being lawful.
Why did I ask this question?
In this, it's legit. Like, you can, this is, yeah.
I like being left alone. I like the silence, but I would also eat somebody.
My gosh.
Have you seen, it worries me. Have you seen the Netflix show Damsel?
I want to watch it. I've seen the
It's good.
trailers.
It's good.
Yeah, I really want to watch that one, too.
I'm watching
Although
Sandman right
there
now.
was a few times I was like, oh, I'll just get through this, I was like, I can't stand this, just get through it.
Mhm, yeah.
I started watching Sandman finally, and that's really good.
It is good.
I like
It's
it.
weird, though. And, like, there's stuff that I don't know why stuff happens sometimes in that series. But it's good. And the books are good, too.
Well, I'm sure the books are good, but I don't want to read them until I watch the show because otherwise I'll be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Dune. I'm not gonna read that book until I finish watching all the movies they make.
I gotta go see the new one. Is it good, Zach?
The new what? The Doom book? The Doom movie?
Dune movie.
Oh, my God.
Mhm.
Oh, my. I've seen it twice. Watch that thing in
It's good.
IMAX if you can do it. It's the most amazing experience. Like legit IMAX,
Takes
not
that
one of
to
those
the two people who
LIMAXs.
get super motion sick.
I
well,
can't do IMAX because we don't have one.
It's
I was going to say,
not
is
that
there
bad.
even one in West Virginia?
I don't know that there is.
I don't think there-
closest one
it's
is-
The
worth-
Clay Center, but it's like for planetarium
Oh,
stuff.
But they
yeah.
make me sick.
It is worth a trip to see it in IMAX somewhere. Anyway.
I do love IMAX,
I thought it was
though.
fantastic. It's not. I didn't like it as much as the first one. I know a lot of people liked it more. But the cinematography is beautiful. The story and everything. They've made some changes from the books, but I think that most of them work pretty well. And overall, it's fantastic. I greatly enjoyed it. I'm going to start watching them as a double feature. Just watch one, then the other one right afterwards. So I can get a good, nice, 5 hours of Dune.
Mm-hmm. I want to go see it. And there's a new Ghostbuster one coming out too.
Yeah, that one looks good.
I'm so excited.
I
Yep.
want to see that too.
The 22nd.
Yeah.
Alex wants to go see the Garfield movie.
Gross.
I didn't even know there was a new one.
Yeah, there's a new Garfield movie. It's when he's a kitten and his dad shows up also.
Isn't it? Who's the voice of Garfield? I want to say it's like...
Oh, it's someone I know because I recognize the voice.
Chris Pratt or something?
Probably. He's
He would be
everything
good
here
at it.
lately.
Chris
It
Pratt's
is,
in
yeah, it's
everything
Chris
right
Pratt,
now,
yeah.
so...
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to talk about my last
But yeah,
couple books here. Oh, wait, go ahead if you were going to say something.
Oh, nothing. I was just going to talk about that movie.
Oh, the Garfield one?
Yeah.
Blech.
That's okay. Go ahead, Zach.
Okay, so I'm reading 2 other books. I'm just going to briefly talk about both of them. The first one is Wolf Song by T.J. Klune.
This is the one I was telling you about. Yeah. I was telling Mallory what you said the other day about it.
So, 2 things. It's like, it gives me vibes, at least thus far, I'm about a third of the way through the book. It gives me vibes of if Twilight was written better, like it just had better writing, and it was actually about gay werewolves instead of angsty teen Bella nonsense stuff and vampires. So the writing is very good. You're really starting to feel for the characters. It is a little bit too schmaltzy for me right now. Just because, TJ Klune, it's like all of his other books with the schmaltziness, but it's dialed up a bit more, I think, in this one. Because there's lots of this weird stuff going on because there's a family of werewolves and they've got all these bonds and stuff. It's very complicated with all the dynamic there.
What does that word mean for you?
Which word? Schmaltzy? Schmaltzy's
Yeah.
Cutesy
Okay.
love stuff, mostly
right.
cutesy love stuff.
Mushy-gushy.
It's smushy gushy.
Mushy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I love mushy gushy.
It's just
I do sometimes.
I like it, but
I like
it's a
it.
little bit too much
If
in this book right now.
If I'm going to read a romance, there better be a lot of mushy gushy and not a lot of physical touch.
No, there's a
That's
lot of
gross.
mushy gushy in this. There's not much physical touch. It does get a little bit more explicit than the other books, but not a ton thus far. And also, everything is going wrong right now, a third of the way through the book. I don't actually know what's going to happen in the rest of it. I thought I had some rough idea of what's happening in the book. Nope, they just messed it all up. So I don't know what's going on now.
Oh.
Anyway, so that one's it's an intense one. I'll report back when I'm actually done with it. I have the other 2 books as
go
well,
ahead.
but from my understanding, it's heart-wrenching at times and it'll mess you up. The other one I'm
Oh,
reading
great.
is Steppenwolf, which I've heard described as it's like a German book where there's a man, you're hearing it from his point of view from his journals, and he calls himself a Steppenwolf, which is a wolf of the steppes, which are certain types of land features. I think it's big open fields of green or whatever. Anyway, he's living in a city and he is very depressed all the time about whatever, just his life. He doesn't like how nice things are in some ways, and I don't know. He's getting older, so it's about that too. But I heard it's because he thinks he's a wolf. This whole thing is that he feels like he's a wolf. But I haven't gotten to what I would consider him thinking he's a wolf yet. He just sounds like he's an old, depressed man. So we're going to see how that goes. But
He's not feeling his wolfness.
he's not very wolfy right now. First, I thought it was
This
going
is
to be
called-
some furry thing. Steppenwolf. Yeah.
I did wolf and step.
No, Steppenwolf.
I was
One
why
word.
isn't this bringing it?
It's like the band, Steppenwolf. It's like the band. It's just
Yeah.
a book.
Yep. This makes much more sense.
She can't get your book titles at all.
No, she can't. I've noticed this. I mean,
I
Dungeon
need
Crawler
to
Carl
stop
isn't even
making fun
hard.
of myself.
Steppenwolf is
It's
literally
not.
a single word.
It's not. My brain is just at this point. It's like last night I made fun of myself and said Dungeons and Dragons Carl. I was like, I need to stop before I can't ever say it again. Like,
Yeah.
I need to stop.
Yeah. So this is by Herman Hesse. or Hesse. He's German. This is translated, and it's from 1927. It's an old book. It has been recently retranslated. I don't know about recently, maybe in like the 60s or 70s or something like that, where it's got less of the Germanisms and better translation, apparently. That's what I'm listening to right now. It's pretty good, but it's also like, I don't know what's going on yet. I don't know what this story's about. Him, ostensibly, but I don't know what that means about him. That's all I got.
This is a slow book podcast.
It was. I only had like what, 4 books to talk about?
Yeah, I had 3 and I wasn't allowed to talk about them.
I had 3 and I've only read one of them.
I feel like I am so behind on reading. I've read 18 books. I just don't believe that, really.
I haven't.
I've read 10.
That's
I'm
my
at
end of the
15
year
right
goal,
now.
right?
I mean, I think I'm doing pretty good for being in school and reading.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Yeah, 10 in 3 months is not bad at all.
It's really not.
I gotta try to finish 3 more this one.
I'm not. I'm doing minicon stuff, as should you guys be.
I listen while I paint and craft. I don't need to use my brain.
This is true.
That's real. All right. On our next episode, we will be discussing Zach's Deep Dive, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman.
Woo, she did it.
We will then be having a Curiosities episode on the Mandela Effect, and Ariel and I will be bringing that one to you. We will then be discussing Ariel's nonfiction pick, which is Hillbilly Elegy by, what's his name?
Yeah. Is it J.A. Vance?
J.A. Vance, okay. I forgot to write that one in. That was my bad. Then we will be doing the 5 people you meet in heaven, and that's going to be Ariel's Deep Dive. And then we will be having a book chat, and that'll be on my birthday. Yay! We better have cake.
Look at her looking at me.
You've been sending me a bunch of cake reels. I don't want to hear it, lady. Okay? You've done this to yourself. I told her at this point, if she sends me any more, she's going to have to make me a cake every day in April.
Can't afford that business. Not in this economy.
No. Okay, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's time for us to sign off. But before we go, only the best libraries have librarians who don't shush you.